Welcome to my ramp test, just to round off the little trilogy of which is best 2020. The 1 hour FTP, the 20-minute FTP, or the ramp test. I'm not going to talk because I've got to keep the heart rate low. So we'll have a nice little voiceover. Can we go for 305 watts now?
Well, 18 months has gone since my last trilogy of FTP assessments, so in the time-honoured fashion for the ramp test here, it was time to flip the erg mode switch to on and crank out the prescribed power. Staying seated and spinning a moderate gear is my little party trick, so spirits were high by the time we hit the low 300s. The focus was very much on the even deployment of watts, all underwritten by my little legs whirring furiously at 95 to 100 RPM. Remembering all the time to keep the heart rate controlled by expelling the CO2 hard and drawing in the power-producing O2 voraciously. Right here, right now, this is the only thing on my mind. Not even the rule of negative 3.8%, which was empirically proven during the 1 hour FTP test on Saturday. The ramp providing a sublime release from the stresses of modern day life. At 365 watts is very much the power of now. Embrace the moment and the simplicity of the task in hand. Heart rate hitting what turned out to be a peak of 183. My nervous system moves into overdrive as I scythe through the beautiful French avenue of trees at 49 of Zwift's finest kmh, Yes, of course, I would indeed be slower, IRL. And with my heart rate inextricably falling into the high 170s, the power ramped to a crescendo of 405. Exhilarating and tormenting in equal measure, the cadence is triple digit as I attempt re-entry into the town. And then, with heart rate falling and willpower collapsing, the sudden release, tinged only by the immediate judicial inquiry, did I go deep enough? I mean, did I? I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, I burned all the matches. I did burn all the matches, didn't I? I mean, I was toast. I'm pretty sure I was toast. Zwift said I was toast. I was toast, wasn't I? I mean, I couldn't have gone any harder. I'm sure I couldn't. Maybe I could. Maybe I could have got into that 425 minute. Maybe I could have, stuck it out a bit longer. I mean, I don't think I could. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was absolutely spent. I was spent, wasn't I? There was nothing left. I mean, maybe I should redo the test. No,
Oh dear.
No, I don't want to redo the test. No one wants to redo the test.
Just turning erg mode off. That is always seriously emotional and seriously exhilarating. Now that's a PB for me. The final minute, the 405 segment. I think it's only average 410. I'm not 100% sure because I was away with the fairies. Anyway, Zwift, following the ramp test, has bestowed upon me an FTP of 305. And that compares to an FTP derived from the 20-minute test of 294 and from the 1 hour test of 278. So quite a difference, really. Let me do the maths. Yeah. 27 watts in terms of the range, which I guess is around about 9%, give or take, from the top end of the range to the bottom. Now, over really middle of August through October, I've very much been focusing with Ed Laverak on building my top end power for the hill climb season, i.e. zone 5 and 6. And for sure, as we've demonstrated on the hill climbs themselves, but also on my 3-minute test, the power has come up, while the weight has kind of remained pretty stable. It's come up from a real low of 62 to 64 today. But the power has come up, and indeed, I was able to deploy 400 watts for 3 minutes for the first time ever. So we've done a lot of work on the top end, and I guess that then pays off here on the ramp test. So I guess if you've been doing a lot of zone 5, zone 6 work, or you're quite fast twitch in terms of your muscle fibre, i.e. a bit more of a sprinter, then potentially, well, I think probably, the ramp test is likely going to overstate your true ability to sustain power over 30 minutes to an hour. Similarly, we found most recently on Saturday that even the power derived, the FTP derived from my 20-minute test, i.e. 294 watts, overstated what I was capable of putting down on the hour on Saturday, i.e. 278 watts. I think in part that was because I didn't have a great legs day for the 1 hour test, and I had a very nice legs day for the 20-minute test. But also, the pacing is a lot harder for the 1 hour test. I do really like it though. I had a really, really good legs day the Sunday after the 1 hour test. You'll see more of that in a very beautiful video to come. And following the video kind of going live for the 1 hour test, and obviously people watching it after the event, there's a lot of really helpful comments there. And loads of people are saying things like, you know, high-level coaches, people kind of coaching world tour riders, this kind of thing, say typically the variation between your 20-minute FTP and actually what you're able to hold for an hour is about 10% down, which is kind of where I was. Albeit Paul Hamblet and Ian Carson were probably only about 8% down. So there's a bit of a range there, clearly. Also, loads of people in the comments were saying, and I very much concur with this, if I was to set my training plan against my 1 hour power, I definitely think the intervals that would be prescribed would be too easy. Certainly for anything from 3 times 15 minutes, 5 times 5, 60, 30, you know, all those kind of shorter efforts that are kind of hitting, okay, I guess, VO2 max, anaerobic, and I guess a little bit of threshold, but short threshold and upper threshold for the 3 times 15. And so I definitely think that in terms of my training plan, I'm going to continue to use the power derived from my 20-minute test, because I've been completing generally all of the training sessions that Ed has been prescribing up until my 20-minute test based on an FTP of 290 watts, and therefore increasing it to 294 watts is going to make them a tiny little bit harder and hopefully eke out a little bit of aggression. But for sure, the ramp test is a really good measure of progression in both physical fitness, legs and heart, but also mind. You really have to dig deep in those final 3 minutes. You've seen I was focusing a huge amount on controlling the heart rate and the breathing to try and keep the heart rate as low as possible for as long as possible. And also, you'd have seen, I think my cadence probably in the 95 to 105 RPM range throughout. Nice, smooth cadence, circular pedaling stroke. Trying to pull back on the pedal at the bottom to remove the dead spot definitely helps there. So all in all, that concludes this little trilogy of bro science from the Bike Racing Without Mercy lab, the Love It lab. Hope you enjoyed it.
Well, the post-ride nutrition has been inhaled, well, nearly all of it. Protein with the hippie milk, vitamin C, greens, vitamin D. Work is beckoning. But ahead of that, I know a few of you very much prefer the vlog to always end on a nice little bit of bakery, in particular a nice spice bun. Hey Rui? So fear not, breakfast of kings, M&S ice spice bun, look at that, is about to be inhaled. And then it's a full-on day of work. That really is a good breakfast. These, I've got to say, these are amazing. Only about 280 calories, loads of nice carbs, taste great and low in fat. Perfect for post-ride nutrition and replenishing the glycogen. Late autumn, absolute perfection.